All right, so this is my 2020 F150 Lariat four-wheel drive with the 5-liter Coyote V8. We are leveled on 34s, and this is my build video. So just to start off up front, this does have the black appearance package, so it has the honeycomb black grille, the black LED headlights, which you can see, and the black front emblems. I added the custom AutoWorks Raptor style front grille lights. That was the first modification that I did. Underneath, you can see that I trimmed the valance all along the bottom, matching that bottom line. Removed the lower lip there as well, obviously, and then added the Gen 2 Raptor skid plate. You can see that I trimmed the Raptor skid plate to actually match the plastic rather than the other way around, which is how I see it done most often on the internet, and it's still plenty strong. I did make my own mounting brackets. You can kind of see them up there, and then powder coated those, and they do go to the stock locations. Kind of coming around to the side here, we have the Fox 2.0s with custom powder coated springs to match the Velocity Blue paint. So these are the Stage 0, they call them, the struts. So it uses the OEM springs, so I had those powder coated. And then added the BDS upper control arms as well. So that brought me up to about 2¼ inches in the front. So I'll step back here so you can see the whole truck. And kind of with wheels and tires, we went with the Goodyear duratrac RT. So this is the new generation duratrac. Very good looking tire. I'm pretty happy with it so far, but it's only been a few hundred kilometers, so not really enough to do an actual review yet. These are in the 285/75 R17 size. So that is a 34 by 11.5 R17, and this tire actually measures out to that size. So compared to some other tires out there that don't actually measure true to size, this one does actually seem to measure true to size. And this is actually the same physical dimensions in real life as my spare, which is a BFG KO2 tire in the stock Raptor size of 315/70/17, which is supposed to be a 35/12.5. But this is actually the same physical size in real life, so I am running that as a spare. As you can see, I'm running Raptor Gen 2 takeoff wheels, which I powder coated satin black, and then I did the center cap to match, so painted that satin black with the center portion being gloss black. I did actually powder coat the OEM lug nuts in gloss black, and it actually turned out much better than I thought so far, and they seem to be holding up pretty well. So we will see how that kind of goes in the future. I do have the WeatherTech mud flaps, which did require a little bit of trimming there. You can see just the edge of the mud flap was trimmed off to make those tires fit perfectly without any rubbing through the whole cycle. I did add these 5-liter Coyote badges to the side. I actually have to powder coat these because the paint seems to be chipping off. Those I just got on eBay. I did tint these side lights as well. I did it with a film for now, but I am going to spray tint them because the film just hasn't lasted very well on the corners. Probably install error, but I will be spraying those because I think it'll probably last longer and be a little more durable. And then coming down the side, So obviously same wheel and tire setup out back. And then I do have the Fox 2.0s from BDS in the back as well. For leaf springs, I ended up swapping over to the Gen 2 Raptor leaf springs. I got a good deal to pick up a set of those. You'll see that the truck sits very level. It's actually perfectly level front to back, and so I do think I'll be adding a stock Raptor size 2-inch rear block to this. It just has the stock 4x4 1.25 inch block right now, so that will give me about 3/4 of an inch of rake, which is a little bit better just for kind of average use for me, being able to put stuff in the bed without it sagging. And the headlights, despite aiming them with the leveling kit, there's not actually enough adjustment in the headlights to make them aimed as they were from factory when the truck is perfectly level. So I do think that putting a little bit of rake back in it will help get my headlights aligned, and the drains for the drain channels for the tonneau cover will actually work better, because the water will then run to the front rather than kind of just staying stagnant in the rain channel and overflowing into the bed. So that's probably next on my list. You can see up top I did tint the third brake light as well, just for the light smoke. That's the Vivid headlight tint, same stuff that I used on the mirror there. On the back you can see that I have different exhaust tips. So this is actually the factory exhaust system, and then all I did was weld let's see if I can get a good image there. So I welded a 45 onto it, drilled a hole in it, or cut a hole in the original exhaust pipe so that exhaust gases do actually come out of this tip, so it's functional, and then added on 2 of these MBRP tips. I will say these originally came supposedly powder coated. That paint quickly rusted, and so I repowder coated them in gloss black to match everything else. So far so good, but it hasn't been very long on this particular powder coat to see how well it will do. So kind of remains to be seen if that will actually work. Obviously the WeatherTech rear mud flaps as well. I do have a muffler swap on here. So I did say it's the OEM system, but I don't think you can see that very well. But I do have a Flowmaster Flow Effects muffler that I swapped in place of the factory muffler. It's a 3-inch 3-out in and out, and just did a direct swap. I'm going to be playing with it a little bit because I get a little bit of drone at 2000 RPM, which I do cruise at a lot of the time with the size tire and 373 gears, especially when towing. And so I will kind of be playing around and maybe swapping that out for a boreless system. And then I do plan on doing a electronic exhaust dump at some point in the future, so that will be kind of a future modification to add in. And then I actually plan on running that to the garage door openers, because you can actually run that wirelessly and program the door opener to then operate the exhaust valve. Obviously, as I mentioned, I have a full-size spare tire. So that's the OEM Raptor size spare tire, and I did powder coat the stock wheel, spare wheel that came on the truck, just because it was already rusting. WeatherTech mats obviously, and then I ended up getting these fake carbon fiber covers for the door handles, because the door handles were already starting to get quite scratched up. And then I tried to put like 3M paint protector film on here, and it actually ripped the finish off of the door handles. So obviously whatever paint they use is not very good, so I ended up having to get these. With that said, actually also, you can barely see it here, but I did put 3M paint protector film inside all of the door handles. So I just cut the kind of shape and stuck it in there. It works really well. You can't even tell it's there, and it does prevent fingernails from scratching the doors if you are going to keep the truck a long time. Inside obviously is entirely stock. I did recently pick up a forescan adapter and went through and changed a few things to my liking, and adjusted for the tire size. So now my Speedometer is perfectly accurate, but otherwise just a stock 502A truck with some camera gear in the back. And that's pretty much it. So that is my 2020 F150 5-liter with a few mods. Hope this was helpful if you're planning out a build. Really good looking truck, really happy with it so far. The Fox 2.0s ride well. I do kind of regret not going with the 2.5s just because of the adjustability, because I do like really soft suspension, but they do ride very well and they were a relatively reasonable price. So all right, thank you guys for watching. Hey guys, sorry for the abrupt change in scenery. I realized I didn't show the stance with these particular wheels, so I don't know if you can tell exactly. They're basically flush with, definitely with the mud flap. They're still a little bit in from where the upper fender is. You can tell that. But I think it's perfect for me. So these Raptor wheels are obviously a 34mm offset compared to the 44mm offset from the factory, and then with the 11.5-inch wide tires, they give kind of a perfect stance for me. So just wanted to make sure I showed that off in the video as well.